Welcome to my class of Foodie Wizard for drying of foods part 2. So far we have done how are food dried by sun drying, by solar drying, and what are the advantages of one over the above. Now let us start with the other topics of food drying or relevant topics of food drying before going for mechanical drying, because before going for mechanical drying we need to understand why is food dried, how is food dried, what makes the water from the food go away during drying. So basically we will first study what are the principles of drying, what makes the food dry, and because we want to study the principle of drying, first we need to understand what kind of water or moisture is present in food. So we will discuss the various types of water found in food and what is water activity. This is again a term which is very much important in reference to or in regard to food drying. And then how is food dried and what are the fundamentals of drying. In this topic we will understand that what are the various mechanisms of food drying, as in whether it is a capillary process, whether it is a diffusion process, or whether it is a combination of both. So when we take up food drying, let us go further. So before we start with the class of food drying and the principles and mechanisms of food drying, let us understand what are the various types of water in food. The water in food is found in two forms. One is bound water and the second is unbound water. So when we talk about drying, this is the unbound water which is available for drying but not the bound water. So when we say this is the particular percentage, X percentage of moisture in food, that moisture is actually the unbound water content of the food. So then what is bound water? Bound water is that water which is tightly bound either in cell walls or protoplasm, or it may be chemically bound to various chemicals and it is not available for drying. This is also related to a concept of water activity that we shall study after this. Water activity is the concept of availability of water for microbial growth. So bound water is neither available for microbial activity nor it is available for drying. The water that is available for microbial spoilage and the drying process is just the unbound or the free water. So what is this water? This water is generally the loosely bound water that is present in tissues and which is easily removed due to heat. So this is the picture showing the bound water and free water in the food matrix. As you can clearly see, the free water that is given in light blue color is available for drying, which lies loosely in the matrix between the molecules of the food material, between the tissues, free spaces in the tissues. Whereas the bound water is shown in dark blue color, which is tightly bound and is not available for the evaporation process. This picture, as we discussed the difference between the bound and free water, shows the clear difference between the two. One cannot be removed by drying, the other one can be removed by drying. The bound water is available, the bound water is not available as a solvent, whereas free water is available as a solvent. The bound water does not allow microbes to grow, whereas free water allows them to grow. Then this table also shows that the bound water does not freeze below 0 degree, whereas the unbound or free water freezes below 0 degree. The bound water which freezes below 0 degree also has a variation in the animal tissues and plant tissues. So the table says that it is around 8 to 10% in the animal tissues and it varies from food to food. That means the presence of the unfrozen material or the unfrozen water is actually 0.5 gram of water per gram of protein in the animal tissues, whereas it is less than 6% in the fruits and vegetables. What is the mechanism by which the water dries from the food? The moisture in the food moves from the food to the environment by the following ways. It is diffused due to concentration gradient. It is also lost due to surface diffusion. It is lost due to liquid movement by capillary forces. And it is also done due to water vapor diffusion in air spaces within the food caused by vapor pressure gradient. So let us see what is water activity. Water activity can be defined as the ratio of the water vapor in the food in relation to vapor pressure of the pure solvent. It can also be described as the formula for a water activity is small a capital W is equal to P upon P0, where P0 is the vapor pressure of the pure solvent and it ranges between 0 to 1, where the vapor pressure of water, pure water, is always 1. Another important consideration while taking the water activity is that the ratios are always taken at a constant temperature. That means when we are measuring the vapor pressure of the food and we are measuring the vapor pressure of the solvent, both the vapor pressures are measured at the constant temperature to take out the ratio. Otherwise, because we know temperature has a very important effect on the vapor pressure and they might change. So temperature plays a very important role during measurement of water activity in food. So let us see now what is the relation between water activity and microbial growth. Water activity is directly proportional to microbial growth. Higher the water activity, higher the microbial growth. So in order to reduce the microbial growth in the food or to increase the shelf life, we need to decrease the water activity in order to stop the microbial growth in the food. Now that we have understood what is water activity very clearly, let us have a comparison between what is water activity and what is water content and understand the difference between the two terms. So, what is water content and what is water activity? Water activity is that water which is available for microbial growth, whereas water content is that water which is available for drying. So, a food may be dry. When the food has got low water content, its water activity automatically goes low. But it might happen that food might have a very high water content but still have a very low water activity. There are very specific examples to understand this. There are very common examples like ketchup and jam or jelly, etc. They have got high water content, still they don't spoil because they have got low water activity. So their water activity is low but their water content is high. So even when the water content is high, they don't spoil because the water that is available is not available for activity of microbes. That is why it has got low water activity, and water activity is low because of the osmotic gradient. The water is bound to sugar, chemically bound to the sugar molecule. So despite the fact that it has got high water content, the water activity becomes low, becomes unavailable for microbial growth, and therefore the shelf life becomes higher.